Hello, everybody. My name is Carrie DeLargy. I am the Domestic Violence Court Manager here in St. Louis County, and I will let my co-presenter, Judge Dodson, introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. Jason Dodson here. I do preside over our domestic violence court that you're about to hear about.
First, before we jump into our court, just a couple of quick facts about St. Louis County. I think it's worth pointing out that St. Louis County is a separate jurisdiction from St. Louis City. We have just under 1 million residents in St. Louis County, and we are the largest county in the state of Missouri. Our county is broken down into about 91 municipalities. So it is very fragmented at times, but we have, as the other courts, a lot of our work cut out for us. And you'll see some other demographic information here as well. In terms of our domestic violence court, we are going on year 13. We were established in 2009. We are a civil domestic violence court, so our court hears orders of protection involving current or former intimate partners. We are a program of our family court and specifically our domestic relations services division. Our landscape has kind of ebbed and flowed over the last 13 years, as others have noted. It started small. Where we sit today, we have 5 weekly domestic violence OP order issuing dockets. We have 2 monthly judicial monitoring dockets, which was a new initiative that we just started this year in 2021. And then we have 2 monthly contempt dockets as well. We also, back in 2009, started with 1 full-time staff member and 1 part-time staff member. That has changed a lot over the last 13 years. We now have a robust staff and volunteer program providing direct services to both victims and offenders, as well as supporting our judiciary. Our mission here is very similar to other domestic violence court models, of course, focused on victim safety, offender accountability, and a coordinated community response.
So the first thing really that we did was separate, and again, our court centers around civil protection orders, and we separated the intimate partner cases, those cases that might also involve sexual assault or certain family members from the rest of the cases, and there are many, many of these filed. We then took those cases and put them before 5 judges to hear them every single week. As Carrie mentioned, there are 5 issuing dockets a month. So separating them was helpful. We have judges that are interested in the subject matter and have special training and are open to continuing to learn on the subject. So we have quite a large volume. We have 20 dockets a month, not a week. We have of just issuing dockets. We have 2 civil monitoring dockets where we have the judges oversee folks with special conditions. We have 2 indirect criminal contempt dockets and a civil contempt docket. So we touch a lot of cases each and every month.
These next few slides I'm not going to spend a lot of time on, but I believe you'll get a copy of the presentation later. So this is just a breakdown of our domestic violence court program staff. The primary DV court staff is highlighted in gray, and then we are under the direction of our family court administrator and then the director of our domestic relations services department. I think one thing that makes our court stand out is the number of judges that we have involved. So as you can see here, we have in total 11 judges that have influence on our domestic violence court between the 5 weekly issuing judges, the 2 judicial monitoring judges, the 2 contempt judges, and then of course our circuit's presiding judge and our family court administrative judge. And I will say having this many judges comes with pros and cons, and we'll touch on that a little bit later. Again, ours is an order protection civil process that looks very different state to state. This is just a breakdown, a flow chart of our process, again, for you to review at a later time. We really want to talk about the mission of our court and how we address those central tenets. First and foremost, at the forefront of what we do is victim safety. And this includes safety not only for victims when they are physically in the courthouse, but also when they are done with their court proceedings and going on with their lives, however that may look. We do have a specialized domestic violence courtroom and our order protection office, which are both located on the street level of our courthouse, completely adjacent to our police and security offices. We have victim advocates available from the very beginning of the process. So when a victim comes in to file their paperwork, throughout the entire order of protection process, multiple court dates. This has obviously shifted a little bit with COVID. We are now currently still doing remote dockets, but we're ensuring that people have access to advocates by phone and in their remote dockets as well. And then also with victims at the conclusion of their case, whether an order of protection was issued or not. We have, as I mentioned earlier, a pretty robust volunteer program with volunteer advocates and attorneys assisting the judges and the parties in these dockets. And then ensuring safety when folks are in the courtroom. So we have 2 courtroom bailiffs and a security officer present at every domestic violence court docket to monitor not only the courtroom, but the hallway and the areas outside of the courtroom. We have safety and security protocols in place that include things like staggered exits to ensure that victims can leave ahead of their abuser. And then just making sure that those are protocols that are vetted and included in training for all security personnel. We also have an innovative firearm relinquishment program that we established in 2018, where under our adult abuse statute, we are ordering respondents to relinquish firearms as part of their order of protection and monitoring whether or not that occurs.
We also have, as I mentioned, judicial monitoring or review dockets, and these I think of these as our accountability dockets. We, in our order of protection forms, have developed an order where we send respondents to abusive partner intervention programs, still called battery intervention programs in Missouri, substance abuse evaluation and treatment if necessary, and again, our firearms relinquishment program. So after the full order is issued, this would direct the respondent to appear on a date certain to do these things to show that they are enrolled and engaged. If somebody is not going to be compliant, we have enforcement dockets, and we have for these programs, we have a civil contempt docket. So if somebody is not going to do what we need them to do, we'll see them on our civil contempt docket. We also have an indirect criminal contempt docket, and this is designed for enforcing orders of protection when the prosecutor really does not have the resources to prosecute the cases. So we use volunteers who serve as special appointed prosecuting attorneys. We have these dockets twice a month. We have 2 judges, so we're able to get people in front of a judge and have meaningful consequences rapidly, and it works well. We'll be happy to talk about it more in the Q&A.
And then lastly, just to touch on our coordinated community response, which as we all know, nobody does this work in a vacuum, and our court has to be well connected and integrated within the domestic violence service community for both victims and offenders. We also believe that our court has to be transparent and accountable to the families and the communities that we serve. So we ensure that we collect feedback from litigants after they've gone through the process. We hold town halls with service providers and others to try to ensure that people feel like they have a voice in the process. And we also conduct follow-up phone call surveys with petitioners. Myself, the domestic violence court program staff, and our judges are all very closely involved in several initiatives in the community to ensure that we're addressing domestic violence at the community level and that the court has a voice with system partners as well as community partners. And we've just listed a couple of our participation in the community efforts.
Thank you, folks. We really look forward to working with our assigned mentee courts.
Thank you.